Good afternoon. Here we are with Josie White from Rainha Fightwear. Not just from, but owner of, creator of. How are we doing?
Yeah, I'm all good, thank you.
So, again, there's so much I want to go into today, but first and foremost, I absolutely love your tattoos. So,
Oh, thanks.
is there a certain theme you went with these? Is it something you've always wanted? Talk to me about your tattoos. Talk to me what inspired them.
I was a body piercer from the age of 18. So I was constantly in tattoo shops. So my full sleeve on my right arm was done by my boss who I used to work for. And then done by other friends that I used to work with, because I've also got the side of my head done as well, but my
Oh, I
hair's
didn't
growing
see
out. I
that.
need
Yeah,
I need a bit of a trim at the moment. So
wow, there's so much in that. I mean, regards of like themes and things you went for with the tattoos you've got, is there a certain concept you went with? Is it just styles you liked? What sort of inspired the
I
ones you've
kind
got?
of went with just styles that I liked and styles that I knew the artists enjoyed. So like my sleeve is biomechanical because that's what she loved and specialized in. I do have a jiu-jitsu inspired one, but it's more subtle. So I don't know if you can see it there. So there's finger tape
Oh,
on the
okay, yeah,
fingers,
that's a nice one.
on the hand. So I liked that style and I just wanted to do some subtle jiu-jitsu stuff in it. So yeah.
I like that. It wasn't quite jiu-jitsu saved my life with a big white belt with one stripe on it. It was a bit more subtle, I feel. I think I like that.
Yeah.
Now, with Rainha, before we get into why it started and everything else, one thing I really liked about it was the design, the sort of sleek kind of the black and golds and things like that. Because I remember seeing it, I think it must have been like a Surrey Open or something like that. I think I got one of the like cards or like a, check
Oh,
us
cool.
out so and so. And I thought it looks just generally really nice. Like regardless of the sort of style and image you wanted to go with, where did that sort of be inspired from?
Well, it was me and my other half. So we kind of we came up with the name first, and then just where he's a graphic designer and I studied fashion graphics and all that fun stuff.
Stars
We
aligned.
just we just kind of messed with the fonts that we picked. But both of us quite like clean, sleek, and simple design. So that's how we kind of wanted to keep it. Although in saying that, a lot of our designs that we've actually done on the clothing haven't been clean and sleek. We kind of went quite loud for a bit. So yeah.
That's kind of the beauty of the sort of transition of both, because again, the general black and gold kind of themes of certain things, but getting a bit louder and like the designs on the inside and stuff. Again, that's sort of the point. But this is where this passion for it comes from, and the creative sort of, I don't know, influence and
Yeah.
all the rest of it goes everywhere. Now, when it comes to the sort of branding around the sort of women's side of jiu-jitsu, is that something you personally resonated with, or was it something you felt was a niche in the market?
Um, I basically just started jiu-jitsu. I'd been training for a few months, and I fell in love with it right away, and instantly was just like, right, where can I buy kit? I need kit. Like my other half is 6'3". I can't borrow your gis. It's not gonna work. Bought some bits, but I really struggled to find anything at the time that I really liked. And I was in uni, and they were like, well, you have to start a business as your final major project. So I was like, oh, well, we can just mess around with that and see how it goes. And it just kind of snowballed off of there, really. So yeah.
Now, when you get what I'm going to try and catch you out on is when you're trying to downplay things, and like I'll give you a bit more prodding to see how well we can get with this. So starting a
Okay.
business it sounds quite trivial, very much. Okay, I don't know, I sell lemonade for the Americanisms, why not? This is something I do. Okay, I've done it for the sake of doing it. Pass me, see you later. Whereas this is something that's got more life and more legs behind it. So regards of fit is something you mentioned there, quite prominent. So when I went to get some like market research for the shorts I do and bits and bobs I've been doing, speaking to
Yeah.
female athletes, and oh my, there is a big difference between women's fit and men's fit.
Oh yeah.
I didn't realize.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's so difficult, especially where we look like a much bigger brand than we are. We're still just like working out of our flat. We're still just like a tiny little brand. So to try and get the stock to cover all the different shapes of women, because it is so vast, is insane. Like we have women going, well, do you not have curvy gis? And I'm like, oh, I want to,
Where's it going to
but
curve?
if just so it like gives you more space for your ass and your hips.
Oh,
Yeah,
sorry,
it's
problem for me
it's
to be honest,
crazy.
but here we are.
So, and it's things that we want to do, but when you factor in like not even just the cost of making them, but then the cost of customs and stuff as well. It's like, oh my God. So it's something we're building up to, and it's definitely something we want to keep working towards. But yeah, trying to get the fits right and make it so that things don't ride up and that so they don't go see-through, and all of that is nice and fun and challenging.
That's exactly those perfect words. It is fun and it is challenging, but it's still fun. That's the biggest priority in this, because again, it's something you do and you're interested in. Because you see a lot of people who do full-time work like myself in an industry they're not overly fond on. I won't, shed too much light, I might get in trouble. But again, you can't get engaged with those problems that you come across. You can't get emotionally invested. Oh, I know why you're annoyed about that. I don't get what they're annoyed about anything. But again, you appreciate what that means when someone asks these questions. So that's always a nice sort of stage with it. And I like how you're saying that we're not as big as we look. Again, downplaying things, but why not? It's the same kind
but
of.
We're really not. But we're really not. It is still literally just the two of us. Orders come through on my phone. I package them all up. That we run everything ourselves. So it's crazy when people think we're huge and that we have guys messaging us asking for sponsorship, which is insane.
Pesky bluebells. We'll get there in a minute.
And I'm like, dude, no. And then we'll have somebody like, oh, well, can I just have some finger tape? I'm like, well, then yeah, buy it. Like, it's not that expensive. Don't be a jerk. Like, please, come on. So, but it's awesome. Like, I do find it really cool when people are like, oh my God, like Rainha. And I'm like, oh, you know who we are. So I do still love that. I think that's amazing. But yeah, we're still only little.
All the pesky bluebelts who think they mean well asking for freebies, you ask, you don't get, sort of thing.
Yeah.
Just have a day off every now and then. Be like, you know what? There's this startup company. Let's maybe put a tenner in their thing and help them out. I get if you want to work together and brand merge and all this kind of stuff, but
yeah,
maybe
like
contribute.
We don't mind. Like, I guess we are quite generous sometimes in some ways. I guess I don't know. For like our customers that have been with us from the start, if they message us asking about stuff and we're like, oh yeah, this is coming out, and they'll be like, oh, I'll get it on payday, and like we've known them for so long, I'll be like, oh, don't worry, I'll drop you 10% off, like, because they've been with us from the beginning and they've always supported us. So like I think it kind of goes hand in hand. When it's people that we have no idea who they are and they keep popping up, I'm like, dude, stop asking me for stuff. Like, we're trying to do the best we can. But for our customers that have been there from the start, we'll always do our best to support them and help them have some nice kit.
Well, this is a very prominent point. I'll make that very clear, because again, when it comes to being a person who you are, to then have to put business hat on and then say, okay, I want to give all the freebies away to everyone so they can see my brand and I can be that person, but that's not going to put food on my table. I can't pay the bills with, the good deeds I did during the day. And this is where you've got to sort of, I don't know, you've got to lay the law down sometimes. And it is very hard to say no to people. Like, how have you found saying no to people? Like,
I feel so mean. I feel so mean. My other half will just be like, nah, it's done. Like, no. And whereas I'm like, oh, but like, we can just give them a little something.
Just a little gig.
Just a little bit. Or like I'm guilty for like chucking finger tape into orders and stuff like that. And just being like, oh, but they've been really nice. And like, we've spoken to them a few times. Just one little bit of finger tape will be fine. And like, just doing things like that where she's like, you need to stop. And I'm like, I'm sorry. I just want to be nice to everyone. Which is funny because a lot of people actually say, apparently I look really threatening and scary. So yeah, polar opposites.
I mean, since you've started the conversation, I haven't stopped smiling, unless you've got really bad resting bitch face. I don't know about.
I have mega bad resting bitch face, to a point where my eldest is like, Mum, what's wrong with you? And I'm just like, it's just my face, kid. Don't worry about it. I'm not angry.
It's away in the clouds. It's like, oh, yeah. Apparently I started on someone. Didn't realise it. Squaring up to someone.
No, I had someone at a competition who I fought. She came up to me afterwards and was like, I was so scared to fight you. I went, why? I didn't do anything. And she was like, you just stood there with your headphones in and your arms crossed. And I was like, I was literally zoning out. I'm really sorry. I wasn't trying to be threatening at all.
But one thing I've noticed when it comes to the jiu-jitsu thing is the community that women seem to build within themselves. Because again, obviously recently we've had the highlight of and I say highlight very specifically because again, it highlights what's really going on, the sort of women being like, sexually assaulted. Again, there's sort of things with that. And I can't help but feel in the community, we're not exactly free from that. So to have the female side of it being really I don't know, empower like people like yourselves, sort of female branding things. You get the Kate Batchicks, you get the people who are very prominent female figures in the sport. I can't help but feel you'd get a lot from that. Did you get quite involved with that from outside of the business point of view, just being engaged with it?
I mean, so I'm a joint owner of my gym now, which happened a couple of years ago. So the moment I started being able to have more of a place in the gym and kind of have a bit of a say on things, I wanted to start women's only classes. I've unfortunately received assault. Is that a way to put it? I've experienced. So I know how horrible it can be. It was one of the things that actually put me off from starting jiu-jitsu to begin with. But in starting it, I found so much more confidence in myself and not thinking, oh, if someone jumps me, I can beat the shit out of them. But I feel like I've got, yeah, exactly. It's more, I feel like I've got more confidence to stay calm in a stressful situation with someone trying to control me, and maybe at least give myself a fighting chance of getting out of that situation, which is reassuring. And that's something that I definitely wanted to pass on to other women. So yeah, I started my women's only classes, which are really fun. And then I started also doing Rainha open mats as well, where my head coach would sometimes teach, or it would just be like, get as many women as we can onto the mats, and we all train together. And I try and stay quite vocal, I guess, on some of the Facebook chats and forums and things like that. But I always feel a bit nervous doing it because I'm always worried I'm going to say the wrong thing. So
again, this is very, very important. I'm so sorry to hear about your experience with sexual assault. Again, we won't go into too much. Obviously, it's a public forum. I don't want you to discuss things not comfortable about. But again, it's the fact you're now in a position of authority. I feel like gives it so much more weight because again, I feel where you hear these horrible stories of male black belts taking advantage of, X, Y, and Z. To
yeah,
see a female figure in that authoritative position, I can't help but feel that it sort of gives women in a similar, I don't know, the entry level women be able to have a platform to speak to someone, be able to think, okay, it's not just them. I don't feel as powerless again. It seems almost like a hierarchy kind of thing that obviously with belts, for example, if
yeah,
say you're a blue belt and a purple belt starts, mouthing off to you, you're not going to feel confident enough to, say
yeah,
something back and so on and so forth. And again, I feel having yourself there, especially as a gym owner as well, not just a co-owner, it gives you that extra level of, okay, you've got that respect, you've got that kind of, I don't know, it's hard to articulate, but no, I think it's very important.
yeah. It is nice, and like whenever we have women come into the gym, whether it's for jiu-jitsu or they want to try Thai or any of the other things that we do here, I try and be quite like, hi, I'm Joe, how you doing, and really get to know them so that if there is a problem, whatever it is, they feel comfortable to come and chat to me about it. I mean, obviously, I'd like to think all my guys at the gym are lovely. I've known them all for years. I mean, I was one of the only girls here for a long time, and they've all been absolutely amazing. Um, so yeah, I'd love to think that nothing like that would ever happen. But it's nice to, I think it's nice to make them know that you're there so that you can address things if they need to be addressed.
And I'm going to say this throughout this conversation a lot. You don't think you realize what you're saying there and how powerful what you've just said is. Little things like being approachable, building that rapport. Because again, like I said a minute ago, resting bitch face, just staring at his face can be quite intimidating, apparently. I can imagine that. But again, it's very much, okay, if someone comes in, you provide a platform that, nice to meet you. Any questions, give me a shout. Don't stress, I'm only over here. Little things like that. Oh my God, that could be the difference people coming back or not. And that's
Yeah,
what you really do to an
absolutely.
extent, is give people that platform that, you're going to live your life, I'm going to live mine. But if you need any help, if you need a place to go, you know what time my classes are, you know where I am. That's invaluable.
Exactly. I think it's important, especially like for, I know everyone's like, oh, my gym's my family. And for us here, that is very, very much the case. Like we've all been checking in on each other throughout everything that's been going on with the lockdowns and stuff. Sorry, my cat's trying to attack my wire. Go away. Through all the lockdowns and stuff. So yeah, for us, we are very much family. And I like to make sure that our members know if they need anything, we're here for them as much as we can be. So
Well, definitely, this is where that whole community side sort of builds from. And again, this is,
yeah,
if you have it in your own house, you can then extend it into a further sort of, towns and villages. And this is why I'm using that analogy very specifically, because again, if you can establish these connections, establish that rapport, you can start to emulate in a further field. And regardless of the way you run things, the way you teach, the way you do certain things, where's your influence of that come from? Has that been a preference from copying what you've been shown? Is it been something you wanted to do differently? How have you influenced the way you teach?
I don't know really. I mean, my style, I don't know if I've got a style of teaching, for one. I kind of ramble quite a lot and I feel like I swear way too much.
You need a podcast.
So,
you need.
So I don't really think I've got a style of teaching, but in terms of like how I treat others, I think it's just where I've been through certain situations in my life, and having kids as well definitely opened my eyes up to being more patient with people, being calmer with people. Teaching the kids classes definitely has opened my eyes up to that as well, because my patience isn't great, so I generally just get my other half to teach the kids classes because he's got the patience of a saint. But yeah, I think it's just giving people a chance to talk and listen to them as well, and just kind of taking their needs and just trying to be very perceptive of what's going on.
Now, I love that, and I also got way more questions on that. More so, the ideal world is you treat a group class like a one-to-one with that level of detail and attention. You say, ask everyone, what do they think? Do they understand it? And again, being a very people-oriented person, but saying in like the hour or 2 hour slots you've got, how do you give all the information across? So say we're doing arm bars from guard. Is it concepts of, okay, if they try and do this, they can't then base there, so then do that? Is it step by step by step? This is how we do it. Any questions, give me a shout. Is it, how much detail do you tend to go into when like selling techniques?
Well, I think where I mainly teach, obviously, new women that have never done anything before, or kids, like recently I've just started teaching again at my daughter's school to year 5 and year 4, which has been really good fun. So I try and keep it as simple as I can, and just kind of go, right, here's a few steps, work on that, and then I'll kind of run around, gauge who's struggling, who needs a little bit more help, which people are kind of like getting it like that. And then the ones that are getting it like that, I'll maybe go, right, try this extra little bit. And then the other ones, I'll be like, oh, just do this and help them through it. And then we'll go back and then I'll add another little bit on. Because I find personally, if I'm learning 2-3 different techniques in an evening, my brain's just going to go to mush and I'm probably not going to, yeah, exactly. So I prefer to have one technique and then have different branches come off that one technique and just kind of fine tune those. And I found that works better for me. So that's what I try and do. I've taught a few kids before as well that have struggled. They've had autism and Asperger's and other learning difficulties. So that's definitely taught me how to tweak my teaching depending on like someone's level of ability to learn things in certain ways. So
again, there's so much in that I love and so much I want to go into. So normally my next question would be more preferring developing an already strong area or then expand in certain other ones. So the way you're sort of saying there that you establish some sort of game from, I don't know, close guard, why not? So instead of going armbar to triangle to a player and so on and so forth, okay, armbar step 1, they defend that and then do B, then do C and so on and so forth. Am I right saying that? That's the right way of...
yeah.
It's just sort of establishing a game and then building on that. Then one thing you said there about people with different, like, autism, Asperger's, social skills, and the way you can have to adapt your style. That is fantastic, the way you've worded that, because again, people sort of think, okay, this is how I learn it, this is how I say it, that's the end of my teaching. But the fact you have to say, okay, what does this actually mean? How do I explain it in a way you'll understand? That is your understanding. That's your application. I like that a lot. And this is where you have to get creative, especially
crazy.
With kids don't listen. Kids
no, they don't at all. And it's insane. But I never knew you'd have to learn how to teach a forward roll in like a million different ways. Just to get a kid to register how to do it. To be fair, I've been shocked how many kids can't even forward roll. Which is, but then again,
shrimp's always a funny one as well.
It's insane because some kids get it and I'm like, dude, I struggled with that so bad. How did you get that right away? And then other kids are like, they look like me when I first tried and they're just kind of like flopping around on the floor. But a big thing I found with teaching kids as well is, like, recently at the school, they've been having some issues with the kids kind of not bullying each other, but kind of like taking the mick out of each other if they can't do stuff. So we were in the middle of teaching a class, got the kids to start doing some movements down the mats, and then that was it. They all kicked off. They all started kind of going at the two that were going down the mat. And I just raised my voice and I was like, enough. I was like, we're not here to do that. I was like, as much as me and John are here, and when we train together, we're trying to beat each other because we want to see if our technique's working. We're still a team, and we still encourage each other, and we still push each other. That's the only way we get better. It's like, I don't want to hear any of you putting each other down, because there's going to be stuff that you can't do, that he can't do, or that she can do. So just encourage each other and push each other to be better. That's the only way this is going to work. And they actually took it on, which was awesome, because then after that, they were all cheering each other on, and like the vibe instantly changed, and it was really nice. So
You said that very calmly and very, like, nicely. I can't imagine you said it as calmly as that.
I actually did. My initial like shout to get above their noise shocked them enough to make them go quiet.
Okay, that's
and
fine.
then I go in really calm. I feel like it freaks them out because I'm too calm.
To be fair, like proper, like, what was it, Hannibal Lecter kind of, okay, this is what we're gonna do. You're like, okay, yeah, all right, done, bye. Just like, there's no questions.
Pretty much, yeah.
But that's sort of what you want, though. You want that kind of less is more. And
Yeah,
much like myself, which you might have gathered, there's a lot of words I say which don't need that many, a lot thinner, a lot leaner English, podcast. But again, this is sort of, you learn how less is more and what less is more.
Yeah.
And again, it's leaning these things out. And one thing I want to sort of go into is more maintenance of the day-to-day. So responsibilities, being adulting, having a relationship, having kids, having a business, training, coaching. How do you maintain everything to the standard you're maintaining it to?
Picnic. We have an app called Picnic, which everything is scheduled into and linked to both of our phones. So we know exactly who is teaching, who has clubs, who has training, who has a doctor's appointment, down to the last minute. So we know exactly who needs to be where, when, and yeah.
That's so satisfying. I mean, it's probably like a Trello sort of thing, like a work in progress, like those sort of things, but that's spot on. But this is the sort of the point, though. It's organization, like discipline equals freedom kind of thing, that, you can't do anywhere near the amount you're doing without having an idea of when you're doing what.
Yeah, it is hectic. And I mean, when you add into the fact that John teaches as well, and he also wants to get his training in, and then I teach and I want to train, and then my eldest does diving for the squad in Southampton, so then she's training X amount of times a week, and then my youngest is now wanting to do swimming and basketball, so now it's like getting her scheduled in to all of that as well on top of that, and then finding time to obviously do Rainha and get everything else done in the middle. It is very hectic, and sometimes I don't really know where the days go, but I wouldn't have it any other way. As much as the lockdown has made us realize we need to make sure we're making more time for family, and for the kids, it has made me realize that I just need to be a little bit more organized as well. I'm really good at procrastinating.
It's good, isn't it? It's good fun.
Yeah.
TikTok's good for it as well. I like TikTok. That's good for practice. That's so good for procrastinating. One
Oh,
thing
I haven't downloaded it.
Oh, it is chaos, because what happens with TikTok is the algorithm's so aggressively good. If you find one theme of video you like, I don't know how niche you want to make it, they will find all the ones for that. And then again, if you get bored of that, they'll find the next thing you like. I don't know how they do it.
Oh no, it's banned in our house. My eldest had it, and she just became a TikTok zombie, and then was walking around doing those weird little dances that looked like she just had a tick. And I was like, no. I was like, I'm not walking around with you doing weird little dances when it's not necessary. I was like, it's gone. You keep monging out on it. We're not having it. So
I think that's it. And there's a couple of things on that I want to sort of go into when it comes to maintaining all these different things going on. How are you with maintaining focus on that one task at hand, then the next one that's coming up afterwards? So say you've got a class at, I don't know, 1, you've got a Rainha meeting at like 2. Are you thinking about the Rainha meeting at all? Or is it just the class is class and this is, tunnel vision?
I try and pre-plan stuff ahead of time if I can. Or we've almost got a lesson book now that we've put together where we can flick through it. So if you're really having a brain fart, you can just be like, oh my God, I really don't know what I'm going to teach tonight. And you can go back through it and pick it, especially if like you're covering a class. That's quite handy to have. But yeah, I try and pre-plan things as much as possible. Either that, or I just ring my mum, have a 15-minute meltdown to her, and then that almost resets me. And then I'm like, cool, okay, now I know what I'm doing.
Only 15 minutes. That's pretty, that's leaned out, I think.
Oh yeah, when I go off on one, I can do it pretty fast. And then
Very
it's done.
efficient.
I just want it out of my system. Yeah.
I'm gonna say I've heard your schedule. It sounds like you only have 15 minutes to do it, if that, between sessions.
Yeah.
And there's a lot more in this I'm going to go into, more so what you prioritize teaching and like sparring wise. Do you do specific stuff a lot? Is it just open sparring? What's your general like I don't know, coaching ethos from that point of view?
Like I say, I mainly teach the kids and the new women that come in. So I base it very much technique wise for a bit to begin with, and then once I know they've got like a few basic sweeps and positions and stuff in their arsenal, then I'll kind of try and get them to do some positional sparring depending on what technique I've taught that day, just to kind of help solidify it. And then once I know they've got that down, then I'll go, okay, then we can add some submissions into that and just work on that then, because I just really don't want to overload people, especially with kids. After about 30 seconds they kind of just tend to zone out on you. So I try and keep it simple and quick, and it tends to work. So
I see a lot of people doing like versions of games with kids and like things like that, and then it is
yes.
okay, step by step. What sort of things do you prioritize when it comes to these games and things like that? Is it positional stuff? Is it what are your games as such?
So we've got sumo, which is fun, where you just basically, we put the belts in a circle, the two kids are in the middle, and they just have to try and get one or the other out of the circle, using their technique as much as they can from standing, which has been awesome. We've ended up getting the kids to do some pretty good takedowns actually, which surprised us, which was amazing. Or there's the one where we get them to sit back to back, and we go 1, 2, 3, and then it's the first person to pin the other one. So it's very like simple, but it's just to kind of get their reactions and just keep it fun, isn't it? Because I think otherwise it can get just a bit boring for them.
I mean, one thing you finished that with saying for them, I like those kind of drills anyway for just general mixing things up, because you know what it's like. Okay, yes, we're doing this, get this grip, do this, that, and the other. Okay, here's the same thing. Here's the next stage. And like, okay, can we spar yet? Can we spar yet? Can we spar yet? And then we go, that's it. But like having stuff like that, like reaction drills, and one thing, especially for jiu-jitsu competition, urgency. Those kind of drills, as much as they sound like a bit of fun for the kids, no, I love that stuff. That's quality.
I didn't say we didn't get involved.
That's it.
And like a lot of the parents actually train as well. So sometimes if the kids' class is being taught, say by John, I'm then like rolling with a couple of the dads on the side of the mat, and we're just messing around, and like it's like, right, you've got to tap me in 2 minutes, and it's like, okay, go, and silly things like that. So we do definitely get involved, or it just becomes all of the adults going, come on, at all of the kids, which is hilarious. So
that's so good. And like, here's a bit of a strange question. So, you know, the whole initial jiu-jitsu is, you know, a secret weapon. You roll with me in like 3 seconds, I've tapped you and it's amazing. And oh my God, you love jiu-jitsu now because you've been tapped by me. The old way it used to be. How often do you have to have those sort of style roles with people? Do they respect what you're capable of? Or do most people sort of think, okay, you're legit, let's just crack on with it without any questions asked? Do you know what I mean? A bit of a weird question.
yeah, no, I get what you mean. So I don't know. Most of the people that come into the gym are pretty respectful. They're pretty cool. I've had the odd person that's kind of come in and just tried to smash me into the mat from the word go, and I'm like, cool. But I tend to stay really, really calm when they're doing it. I don't try and reach their level of aggression, because I find if I do that, I just get injured, which is never fun, and I'd rather keep training. So instead of trying to submit them, I'll just try and just coast it out and make it look like I'm finding it crazy easy and I'm really, really calm. And I find that actually throws people off more than going, oh yeah, I've beat you, I've submitted you. Instead, if they're going full force and I'm just there smiling at them like, yeah, this is really fun, they're like, what the hell is going on? So I tend to go that way with things more than anything.
I like that, because I'm not sure if you're familiar with jiu-jitsu. There's a rule of thumb. He came out, one of his videos was with beginners who are a bit like, you know, excited. you submit them really quickly 2 or 3 times, so they know the law, then you can just play around and flow roll. Because if you go flow roll straight away, they think, oh no, you're not that good. I can get past. I can pass your guard. It's no problem. So,
Yeah.
all right, I'll wring your neck like a chicken and see what happens. If you start rocking. But I like that. I like the way you're being composed. You're sort of okay. You can try as hard as you want, and you're just going to sort of gas out. And here's me still smiling, still laughing. And in the same vein with that, then longevity. So obviously, if there's odd numbers, there's a good chance you'll jump in with rounds. And say if
Yeah.
there's like, just bigger guys, people who aren't as intentionally not as considerate, just just a bit clumsy, a bit more beginning. How are you with saying no, being like, what, I've got to look out for myself, or how are you with that sort of thing?
Oh, I have no problem with turning around and going, no, I'm good. I'm very open and honest about it. I've got fibromyalgia as well, so chronic pain and fatigue, which is great fun to add to everything. So yeah, I'm very happy to turn around and go, no, I need to sit one out, because I'd rather last out my training than end up just in the corner curled up in a ball like, no, I can't move. So no, I'm quite happy to just say, no, I'm not rolling.
So how does that affect your sort of day-to-day sort of things? I saw it in your bio. I wasn't too familiar with that. It's like an ongoing thing then.
Yeah, I got diagnosed when I was 18, 19. So yeah, over 10 years ago now, which is crazy. It's tough. I have good days and I have bad days. I'm meant to be really good and not eat sugar and eat really healthy and take all my vitamins, because it helps my body cope with the constant pain. So then my body's got the energy to deal with that, and then I've got the energy to carry on. But I love pick and mix. So, but I've been good and I've not had sweets for a while. So
favorite pick and mix go? Most important question.
I like the milk bottle thingies, the jelly ones.
Oh, that's a strong
from
shout.
Wilkinson's, and the fudge squares.
Wilkinson's as well. What shout?
I know, but the problem is I can inhale a share cup by myself, which is not good. So this is why I need to stop. I don't know about that, but yes, this is why I've got to make sure I'm careful. I do have days where I really badly crash though, and my pain's really bad, and I can't really move much, and just have to lie down and rest, which I hate because I'm rubbish at resting, but I've learned to manage it.
Well, this is sort of where this conversation is going to get quite interesting, because again, someone I'm gathering from yourself, very engaged, very emotionally engaged in what you do. Again, you love the business, love the family, everything going on, but not to be able to, so to not be able to fulfill that due to like fatigue, having to take time off. I couldn't imagine your frustration. That's been the main word there.
Yeah, I get pretty pissed. I'm not very good at being. I'm not a patient person anyway. So when it's like I can feel my body's not working, but my brain is still like, no, we've still got stuff to do, I'm the worst person to be around. And more often than not, I end up with like John turning around being like, you need to stop. Like, you just need to stop. I've even got a few of my teammates who I've known for a really long time, and I'll be rolling and I can feel my pain getting worse. And I'm like, no, I can carry on. And they'll come up and go, you're going that funny greeny grey colour. I think you need to stop. And I'm like, okay, I'm sorry.
Like
I'll stop now and sit. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Like a minor copper deficiency, copper poisoning. It's nice green tint.
I'm like, oh, great, thanks. So I feel like shit and I look like shit. Yay!
Anything else?
Yeah, exactly.
Also, you're rolling shit. I was like, oh, nice, thanks. But with competition side of things, surely does it affect? Do you cut weight much for competing?
No. I did. I wouldn't say it was a big cut, but I normally walk around at like 75. Way more than that at the moment, but normally I walk around about 75 kilos, and I dropped down to under 71 for nogi for I can't remember what competition it was, and I just remember feeling like absolute crap, and I was like, okay, I'm never doing that again. So I've just decided it's better to just go in the higher weight category and just make sure I'm healthy and fueled up and comfortable.
Okay, because more so the fatigue side of it. Because again, if you're on a stress because you're trying to get in a deficit, you're trying to push through certain things. I could easily see that getting disguised and lumped in with that, saying, "Oh, it's part of the grind and getting after it, whatever the fuck that means." You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I'm good at pretending that it's not my fibro pain, and just being
It's
like,
more harder.
no, yeah. I'm like, no, it's fine. It's just because I've been training really, really hard. That's all. It's just muscle ache. It's normal, like exercise muscle ache that anyone gets. And everyone's like, no, it's not. You need to stop. I'm like, okay, my bad.
Get me some acai and I'm golden. Don't worry.
Exactly.
But again, this is sort of these sort of things in retrospect seem very straightforward and very obvious, but this is why this conversation is important, because then you've gone through this, you've been through this. This is why I feel this is so prominent having you on. Again, you're very modest and very shy about coming on in the first place. This is why it's so important, because again, people who are in similar boats, like easily imagine someone else who hasn't been diagnosed comes to training and thinks, you know, I just feel nauseous, I hate this, like it must be me, I can't do it. And then they hear you say, okay, I felt similar things, I've worked around it by X, Y, and Z, and
Yeah.
imagine how invaluable that would be. And this is why I think it's so important, like having yourself on. Again, when you're coaching people and building people up, what is your first priority? So day one, white belt walks in. What is the first thing you'd like them to start to focus on?
It's just survival, isn't it?
Mm.
Because that's all it is for everyone when they start it. Unless you've got a martial arts background, or not even that. Like, we've had guys come in from different sports, but because they've trained in a sport for so long, they've got that mentality to be able to remember moves easily, to be able to make their body do what they want it to do right away. But if it's like just a standard person off the street, never done anything before, it is just survival. And when I've spoken to people, I'm like, yeah, it's fun, but it is tough, and you just have to stick it out. And it gets more fun the more you retain, and just don't put pressure on yourself, because the moment you start putting pressure on yourself, like, well, I can't remember this and I can't remember that, and oh, I'm really rubbish at this. Well, of course you are, you're new. It's the same when you start anything, you're going to be rubbish. Well, generally for most people, you'll be rubbish at the start because it's completely new to you and you're learning some completely new. You're not going to be amazing off the bat. So
I mean, people who are amazing off the bat, I hate them with a passion and I disdain them. But we'll ignore those people that will say they're just, you know, catch up at some point and they'll be shit or something else.
My eldest is one of those, and it pisses me right off.
It's just dreadful, isn't it?
She like picked up a guitar lesson, and she came out and he was like, has she done lessons before?
Is that John
and I was
Lennon?
like, yeah. I was like, no, not really. And he was like, oh, she's really good. And I was like, for God's sake, it's another thing.
Does she do jiu-jitsu?
She did jiu-jitsu for a few years, won junior worlds.
Of course she did.
And yeah, exactly. Bearing in mind, skipped onto the mat in front of everyone, just turned around and waved like it was nothing. Whereas I walk onto the mat and feel like I'm going to throw up everywhere. Won, which was amazing. And then went, yeah, I'm done now. And we were like, what? And she's like, yeah, I'm done. Don't need to do it anymore.
Got a blue belt. She completed it.
Oh, it's a nightmare. Yeah, and now she's on to diving now, so she's just doing that and gymnastics. So I don't know.
Imagine just flippantly competing, winning a world title, and like, yeah, doesn't matter now.
I know, she's a little bugger.
I mean,
But my youngest has started training as well. She's only 4, and she's already like training and joining in with us. So
has she got cauliflower ears already?
No, but she is a little tank. She's just a solid little thing, and if she tries to choke you, you know about it. It's horrible.
This is sort of where like the tenacity of his children going after it, and also, you know, you get the privilege of the grind. And just imagine the playground, they've got big gammy ears, thinking, oh God, it's good for him, it's developmental. So are you sure?
When we started teaching at the kids' school, and Marley was like turning around to all her friends, I was like, yes, my mum and dad. And then they saw us go into reception, and apparently they all turned around and was like, your dad's really big and your mum's really scary. And she was like, yeah, don't mess around because they won't take it. I was
they'll beat you up. They'll choke you out. I don't care if your kids
you can't say that.
Just imagine that. Yeah, this is the weird jiu-jitsu energy of like, yeah, you get that sort of look about, okay, shit, they're hard as nails, but like they're also nice people. It's like, which one is it? Like,
yeah,
can be
exactly.
both, but
it's like, actually, I'm really, really chilled and I don't like violence, and I'll walk away if people try and start a fight with me because I'm like, nah, can't be bothered, like, not interested. So then I find it really funny when people are like, you look really aggressive and scary. I'm like, oh, my bad, sorry.
So I'm going to ask you a very open question, but I want the first thing that pops into your head, not even one. Again, this is sort of, if you don't like violence, why do you like jiu-jitsu?
I don't know. I don't know what that noise was I just made either. But
That was the gas being released trying to work out the answer.
yeah, that's my head just like exploding. I've always loved martial arts. Ever since I was little, I'd always wanted to do it. I'd always watched like martial arts movies and things, and I've always just loved it and thought it was brilliant. And I think it's the technique side of it and all of that side of it that I love. Because like when people post up videos of someone beating the crap out of someone else, you see everyone commenting on it, go, "Oh, that's funny." I personally don't find that funny. I just think, my God, you're really frigging stupid. You're starting a fight in the street with a plank of wood. What's your problem? Like, grow up and go home. So I really don't like violence in that sense. But with martial arts, I don't know. There's something different about it.
Oh, definitely. And this is why that question's always interesting, because your answer could be so different and very personal to you, because albeit the bravado, maybe it's fear of whatever else, maybe it's X, Y, and Z. But again, it's interesting how you sort of resonate around the technique side of it, whereas it's not the what or the why, it's the how. And like,
Yeah.
Again, even like saying under that kind of pressure from like beginners who are a bit keen or whoever else, it's not the winning and losing as such. It's the fact you can control certain things, you can do X, Y, and Z. It's almost, again, you said under pressure. I like the way you've sort of covered that a few times, where it's okay under a situation where I've been English. You couldn't imagine this is my podcast, would you? But again, it's very much like, okay, under the situation where there's tension and everything else, I showed up. Like whether or not I won or didn't, I showed up. And even competition, I feel like such a prominent thing. Just a few more questions, and I'll let you shoot off. These are ones I ask everyone. You're about to compete. You're in the bullpen. You're doing your resting bitch face, crossed arms, headphones on. You then walk up to yourself to give you the best advice only you would know. What would you say to yourself before walking on the mat?
Don't shoot yourself.
So
It's a running joke with me and my other half. It's always like,
have you shot yourself before in competition?
No, but I'm terrified of being put to sleep because I'm scared that I'm gonna like just lose all bodily function on the mat.
I mean, that is terrifying. That is
the thought of that in front of loads of people. Because when I was a body piercer, a girl passed out and she wet herself. So the thought of like being on a mat, fighting in front of everyone, and then what if I pass out and not just wet myself, but then on someone else? Like,
is that IBJJF legal? It might be.
I don't know.
If it's through the gi, it should be all right. I think no gi a bit questioned, especially put your shorts down. You do the bullpen.
It's a big like running joke / big fear in our household. So yeah, that's kind of like the thing that we say to each other. It's just like, yeah, don't shit your pants, just to kind of take the edge off.
That's perfect. That's absolutely spot on. That's why I like that, because again, it's not so much the literal just get your grips and chill out, or nothing even sport specific. Very much like, yeah, as long as you don't shoot yourself, you're all right. Something
exactly.
Like
I think that's a motto to live by in general, to be fair.
Just don't shoot yourself.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay, that's taking a turn. This makes the next question a lot stranger. After a competition, you got the gold medal around your chest. You're ready you're showing off to everyone. You got Instagram captions done. Deliveroo, takeaway. What are we saying?
Oh, I usually smash a Domino's.
Now you say Domino's. That's a very white belt answer. I want black belt detail. I want to know.
Okay, sorry, my bad.
Toppings. Okay. Talk to me. This is a real. You train half this competition. Spoil yourself. Talk to me.
Always stuffed crust. Has to always be stuffed crust. Otherwise, what's the point? And then it's either Texas barbecue or American hot.
Okay, we're getting somewhere. It's good. Any sides? Any dips?
Chicken wings, cookies, and garlic dip.
See, you'd have left all that out. That's like was the best part of this.
Not everyone needs to know how fat I am when I eat, because I smash that all by myself.
They need to how to refuel after a competition. It's fighting words. You don't ever have a light rounds. It's technical rounds. You have refuels, refeeds. You're not fat C next Tuesday. You refueling.
If I'm being sensible and not wanting to spend money, I normally just cook up like shitloads of Caribbean food. And then that's like stacked in the fridge, which is actually what I'm about to be doing after this. I'm meant to be going and cooking. So I'm going to go cook shitloads of Caribbean food, stack it in the fridge, and then that's what I will demolish loads of. So
The absolute dream. And the last question is, day one beginner walks in, nervous, whatever else. What is your advice to them? Just any day one beginner, male, female, or whatever.
Just listen and have fun.
That's all
Basically, yeah, pretty much. Oh, and no shoes on the mats. Because like the amount of people I've got to be like, what are you doing? Get your shoes off my mats. I know, right?
Fantastic. Thank you so much for your time. Regards to social media and Rainha else, where can people find you?
That's pretty much it, really. It's just like Instagram and Facebook.
Which are what's your handle on Instagram?
Oh, it's see, I'm really crap at this.
No,
It's just Rainha FW. That's all it is. And I think it's the same on the Facebook as well. I think it's the same tag. We have a Twitter, but we never use it. I could never get my head around Twitter. So.
And your one?
Oh, I don't even know what it is. Oh, that's really bad. What is it? This is how crap I am with this kind of stuff. It has BJJ at the end. Oh, it's Josie Kelsey. Yeah, Josie Kelsey BJJ.
Yeah, that's the one. Cool. Yeah. Links to those will all be in the description. Check out our podcast sponsor, The English Hypnotist, for all your sort of psychological needs. Again, this is speaking to Richard changes my game in regards to training, the way you ask yourself these questions, the way you develop. Everyone from business people, athletes, everyone could benefit from a conversation. Check out Fisticuffs Fightwear. We've got the rash guards and the Valetudos in. We've got hybrid shorts en route. And yeah, support local shows, support local business, and stay positive and be grateful.